Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am the Inconsequential Runner. Joining us, as so frequently he does, Coach Mark. Hello, Coach Mark.
Happy to join you, Darcy.
Great to have you here. You know what this is all about. And for those of you joining us for the first time, what this is about is you send through your questions as runners that you want an esteemed coach to answer. So with your questions, we ask Coach Mark. Only one question per video, so we can just focus on one thing per video, keep the video short, and you get some nutritionally rich information. You know how the game's played on YouTube. If you love this stuff, click the like button. And if you want to be kept in the loop with other stuff, hit subscribe. Both of those things are great payback for us because it helps us with our algorithm and gives us a few more views, which is always good to know that someone somewhere is sucking in this information. Coach Mark, the question I've got for you today is how you stay composed during a run. And the reason why I ask that is sometimes during a run, you know, you can have a lot of emotive things going on in your head, and that can lead to you not knowing when to go or to go. And if you don't go at the right time, you might be surging at the wrong time. You're using too much energy. Then you start thinking about all the energy you've just used, and now you're dying. And now you're in this sort of vortex where you're thinking, do I quit or do I just keep pushing on? And am I running at a speed now that's slower than the speed I was running before? I don't know. Okay. But what we're talking about is when we lose our composure. So the question I've got for you is give us some tools, techniques, some tips on how we stay composed during a run, because I imagine when we stay composed during a run, we make better decisions, our form is better. There must be a whole heap of benefits. I know when we don't stay composed, myself personally, I start to make bad decisions and things start to fall apart. Coach Mark, we're talking mainly racing here. Or we're talking, you know, a park run where we're chasing someone down that we've wanted to chase down for weeks. How do we stay composed? Coach Mark, let us have it.
Yeah, it's all about, as you say, keeping everything under control. So not getting too excited too early. And that the common problem people do is they get too excited too early, often right from the start, right, leap out fast, or you know, too soon before the finish. There's a rule that if you're gonna push hard, you should be confident that you can maintain that to the finish. If you otherwise hold back. So there are three things really that you focus on to keep control.
Okay.
And your tempo. So you're keeping an even tempo. Your technique, so your technique is good and controlled, and probably more important of all the three is your breathing, because your breathing effectively dictates the effort that you're running at, and that takes things like terrain and wind and all that type of stuff out of the equation. Because if you're working at the right level, your breathing will be controlled.
Right.
And if your breathing is controlled, you're running controlled.
Yeah. In terms of tempo, so let's go through these three again. And I've got a couple of questions on each. So when I hear tempo, I'm thinking of two things, either the speed I'm running or my cadence. Now, my cadence isn't my speed because it's cadence times stride length is speed. So when you say tempo, are you talking about the speed or am I focusing on my cadence, keeping my tempo even?
Yeah, probably more cadence, actually.
Okay.
Probably more cadence. You'll if in your training, which you should do, you will know, you'll have a good feel for what sort of effort is required for something like a 5K. You know that's part of the benefit of doing the training, that you get that inbuilt mechanism and sense of what the right effort is. So then you also get a sense for what that tempo is. It's like a rhythm that's tapping out on the road as you're running. So you get into that, you know, at the start in the first minute or so, and then it's really just keeping that going. So it's almost like just tapping away.
And I imagine,
so again,
I imagine the key is to be familiar with that tempo. So
it is. Yes, it is.
I find myself running at a tempo and my legs are going, we haven't done this before. This is new. And I'm
No.
thinking, I shouldn't be doing this in a race then. Why am I running in a different way? Okay.
Yeah. And then the technique, you see, the technique and the tempo, or you could almost say cadence instead of, for tempo. If your technique's good and your tempo is as you would expect, then your speed will take care of itself.
That's care of itself. And in terms of breathing, I sometimes hear people say breathe through your nose, some say breathe through your mouth, some say just breathe any way you can. Is there any right way to breathe, or is it a case of just get that oxygen in? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Coach Mark?
Yeah, I always think you should just open your mouth and get the oxygen in. Really, I think it can get a bit too complicated otherwise.
Please.
But I think it's more important that you're breathing at the right a controlled rate, a controlled effort. So you should be really breathing in for 2 seconds. Stop for 2 seconds. Breathing in for 2 steps. So you go 1, 2, breathe in, 1, 2, breathe out. Yeah. If it's ragged, so you're breathing too quickly, panting, it's then you're starting to get into the anaerobic zone. Right. You can only handle that for a brief period of time.
Okay, so you're talking about a real
lactic acid overwhelmed you.
Right, so you're talking about real uniformity in terms of, or a synchronization in terms of your breathing and your tempo, your cadence, that they're working in together.
Yes, that's right. So you get locked into it almost gets hypnotic, which is why people find things like mantras and that are quite good, because you get locked into this hypnotic cadence and breathing, and it just feels comfortable, and you should feel confident that you can maintain that, because the most efficient way to do your best over particular distances to do it at an even pace. So that's that ensures that, and that takes away any excitement of I think I'm going to have a bit of a surge here, unless you're a Kenyan. That very rarely works. Or you're just way better. It only works actually if you are confident you're way better than your whole opposition.
Right.
You can do that, and they can't handle it. Otherwise, even pace.
Okay, so let's flip this. So say that we've been following those tools and techniques, making sure we got a nice even tempo, that we've got a great technique, our breathing is working in with it. So we've reached the point, say it's a 10K race and we're 6 kilometers into it or 7 kilometers into it, and we're feeling great at this point. It's all worked. So our old fashioned of surging a little bit too early, you see someone going, you think, I should be able to run with them. And then they're on a surge and they've just vacuumed you along onto a surge too. And then you both blow up. So we've got past all of that with following those 3 key steps, 7K into the 10K race. And now we're feeling good. We're feeling good. What can we do now? Because we don't want to cross the finish line feeling awesome, because I think what we start to think then is I could have left a bit more out on the course. Especially in a 10K race, if I saved another 6 seconds per kilometer, there's a minute I could have taken off my time. So we're approaching 7 kilometers. We're feeling great. What sort of things can we do or think about or improving our speed? Yeah.
So it comes back again to what I said earlier, that you need to be confident when you increase the pace that you can maintain that to the finish. So that's the first thing. So what you really don't want to do is increase the pace and then be forced to decrease the pace again. Then that just doesn't work, because you're going to likely decrease the pace slower than you were before you increase the pace, and that's not good. But a way to get around that is you just increase the pace. So say you're at 7K, for example, and say someone actually really surges away from you, quite quickly, but there's still 3K to go. So you're not coming into the home straight or anything here.
No. No.
What you do if you're feeling good, you just up it a click, just a little notch
Get
increase.
that? Yep. Next level. Just
Yeah, nothing more than that. You know, that you could do that for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and then assess again. How's that feeling? Maybe I could up it a little bit more, or maybe I
gotcha.
could maintain this. It's all about that gaining momentum. There's nothing lost with that. So say if you up it a click, and then you do that for a minute, you go, actually, I don't know if I can maintain this. Sort of, there's nothing lost there. All it, yeah, because you've only upped it a click. You can go revert back down if you want to. But hopefully you'll be able to keep it going. But if you can't, at least you've run quicker for that minute.
Yeah, yep.
And that's something, isn't it?
I'll take
And you
that.
never know, that guy who surged off. You know, if you just up it a click, you might suddenly come around the corner and there they are. You know, they've made the mistake. They've got excited.
He clearly hasn't watched our video. So let's see if we can wrap this up. So to stay composed and to stay composed and cool under pressure, 3 key things to focus on. One is a nice even tempo that your body already is experienced with. You're not introducing anything new on race day. When we talk about tempo, we're talking about a cadence. We're talking about having a good technique. And I know you've touched on other elements of what a good technique looks like in previous videos, and your breathing. And your breathing is synchronized with your cadence. So you're running in a way that you know you can get to the finish and it's nice and even. Now, if you reach a point where with 3K to go, and we're just using that figure nominally, you're feeling great, then the best way to test it is don't do a massive surge, go up what we call a click or a notch, just up to the next level. And after 30 seconds to a minute, reassess then. Is this too hot or am I good? If you're good, then I suppose you've got 2 options. You can either go up another click or you hold, but just 1 click at a time and reassess after 30 seconds a minute. Coach Mark, is that everything in a nutshell, mate?
That's it. I love the saying that you treat the first 3/4 of the race like a scientist. So everything, you're kind of analysing everything, making sure everything's in order, your breathing, tempo, it's all as it should be. But then the last quarter, treat that like an artist.
Love it.
So you're creative. This is effectively what your training's all geared at. You can go as fast as you feasibly and sensibly can for the last quarter. It all sets you up for that, and you do that, you'll really enjoy the race. It's a really enjoyable way to race, and you'll also do well.
What a great way to
finish. 2 good things. Yeah.
Coach Mark, thank you so much for those tips. I know they will help us stay composed in our next race. For those of you that are watching and made it to the end of the video, thank you very much. As always, if you liked it, hit like, do us a favor. Thank you. And if you want to stay in the loop with other videos, why wouldn't you hit subscribe? Coach Mark, thank you very much, buddy.
Cheers. Always a pleasure.
All right. Too easy. I'll be able to